So yeah, very interesting chat I had with Mark the other day is coming up right now. CFR 369 Live, the Cry Freedom Show with Lisa.com.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And you too. Thanks, and I appreciate you taking the time, Mark. Sorry to do it this archaic way without video, but
That's all right.
It is a radio show.
Yeah, fair play. I've got a good face for radio.
I'm just reading what you put on your Skype thing about It's a Beautiful Life, and yeah, it's hard but beautiful.
Well, yeah. Yes.
By the way, Gally Lucy, I love Gally Lucy. How did you come across Gally Lucy?
I got approached by Shoshi, an Israeli author of books about, conspiracies, and she introduced me to her.
Right. She's been a bit quiet lately, but...
She's been on holiday.
Oh, has she? Oh, good. I noticed that one... Sorry, come.
She knows what's coming, so she's on vacation.
Oh God. I know she said recently she was going on about France and what was going to happen with Macron not getting back in again, and then obviously he did. But I've seen that there's things happening there now with regards to he's not going to have overall control. So I think she's probably going to end up being right.
Well, that's the thing with these things. You have to, the information that comes through is there's no 5D answers to 3D questions.
Yeah, I know.
And we interpret them in 3D, and that's where we go wrong.
Yeah.
Plus, there's disinformation coming from above as well, on purpose.
Yeah. And the hard thing is, Mark, isn't it? Because I've been doing this for like 10 years now. Small following, very small following, but I do my best because I feel it's what I'm meant to do. But we have this kind of feeling inside us that you just kind of know you're doing the right thing, don't you? Even though sometimes you just wonder why you're doing it, but you know you're doing the right thing. Well,
if you're doing the right thing, there's nothing more you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my point. I think the first time I really came across you was, so we're probably talking 2020 now, when you used to be on the Charlie Freak shows, and I am a huge fan of Charlie and Colleen, I have to say.
Yeah, I love Charlie and Colleen. There's just been so much weirdness.
I know. Well, I was on Liverpool Community Radio recently, and I said I never knew what backstabbing was until I entered the truth movement.
Well, fortunately, I was in theatre for 10 years, so I know all about backstabbing.
Well, yeah, indeed. Well, you've done everything, haven't you?
Well, I've done a few things.
Oh, by the way, just before I forget, I wanted to say a big thanks. My husband, Dave, we're a strange couple. We're not a couple as such, but we're still married and we're good friends. And, we've been through a lot together, 27 years worth. And when he found out that you were going to allow him on his course because we haven't got the money, he cried, just so you know. Well,
that's nice. I hope he finds it useful.
He will. He's been working so hard for so many years. We've been through tough times. We had to, essentially... My big kick, I keep saying, was in 2010 when my dad died unexpectedly on his anniversary. And shortly after that, I started to see the futility of it all. And I let my job go. I let the house go, walked away, put the key back through the door because I had an interest-only mortgage. It was going to, never be paid off, death pledge, all that. Yeah. And I just walked away from it and went to live back with my mum to look after my mum and help look after her. Dave did most of it, but... It's these moments in your life, isn't it, that kick thing, and that's what I think the last 2 years have been for everybody, a massive kick that's hit everybody, but still some people won't get it.
Well, I know, but that's why I think there's a bigger kick coming.
God, yeah, I think you're right. It's a bit unfair on those of us that get it, isn't it? But
well, I don't know, I was just talking to somebody else saying this is a 980 billion year war. And we're right at the end of it, and don't take it seriously. I mean, when I say don't take it seriously, I mean that's what this is all about: learning, doing the fight and realizing that you're in a war, and don't be a casualty to it.
I have to say, you put a big spanner in my works the other day, Mark, with your talk with Mr. Escott and all the meat stuff. I've just spent a fortune on bloody seeds.
Listen. I was the same because I was a vegan. I was a vegan last year.
Yeah.
And, once I understood about oxalates and once you realise the government's been pushing veganism, okay, I've got to look at this. I keep open-minded about everything. And
only way, Mark, only way. Yeah.
So I've treated myself as an experiment, and I've been doing it for 6 months, and I've never felt better, had more energy, and it's not because I want to eat animals. I don't. And I think it's just that in this war, they've weaponized all food against us. Yeah. And by eating meat, you are minimizing your chances of being poisoned by their shit.
But surely that's only if you're eating meat that's ethically brought up, and how many of us can actually do that?
Well, yeah, but it's even if it's not, it's still better than eating the other shit, the vegetables and the fruit and the bread.
Right, wow. See, that's hard, isn't it? It's so hard for us to get our heads around that, really.
Yeah, because we've been brainwashed our entire lives. I mean, you've got to follow your own thing.
I get you, I know.
I just report back from the front line about what I'm doing, and people can take it or leave it.
So are you able to get ethically grown meat then, where you are?
I do. I have found a farmer that does that, yeah.
Right, so my view is that in the future, well, you'll probably be okay, but if the supply chain collapses, and so the idea for most of us has been to get seeds in and things, so that you can grow things. I haven't even got a garden, I live in a flat, unfortunately, but I'm thinking I can do something at least if it does close, if it does go.
Yeah.
I can't exactly have a cow in my back room.
No, I mean, just got to do what you can. I mean, if you can grow spuds and stuff in a pot.
Exactly, yeah, I know.
And just do it.
But they're not good for us, apparently, so it's what do you
do? Yeah, but, it's better to eat, you can survive for a long time without food, firstly. And also,
I know that. I've done 2 16-day fasts, and I know all of that, and it's so true. And the biggest fear people have is a few days into not eating, they get detox symptoms and they think they're dying, and so the power of their mind actually makes that happen.
Yeah, I know. I've done it myself. I've done long fast myself, and I realised how easy it is, actually. And yeah, so I don't think there's going to be. We're watching a movie. This is not going to be anywhere near as bad as people think it's going to be. Yeah,
well, yeah, the whole movie thing. So the whole Trump thing and the whole. God, that's been a hard thing to get through to people, hasn't it? Well, I don't think Trump is a saviour. Well, he's a catalyst. I don't think Trump is someone that will ever really understand what it's like to live like we do, because he's been cosseted his whole life. He's had everything, luxury, his whole life. He couldn't possibly understand. But I know Charlie Ward used to say that he's a narcissist, but he's the only man for the job.
Well, I just think he's been playing a part.
Yeah. But it's been a part that's, people have been shown so much, haven't they?
Yeah.
If they're prepared to look and not just be stupid, essentially.
You got to remember it's a war, and it's the art of war, which means there's got to be a lot of misinformation, disinformation, misdirection, decoys, subterfuge, sabotage, everything. And
so World War III has been different from any other war, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And so as soon as the internet was introduced, so this is where this us and them thing, something introduced the internet to us, didn't it? And it knew that once it did that, some of us were going to start extracting information. Like my mum and dad were quite awake, but they never had the internet, you see. They got it. I was brought up as an atheist. They refused to let us go into the school, Christmas crap plays and all that. And it was hard when I was a kid, and I hated them for that in some ways, but I see now where they were coming from, although I'm not an atheist anymore. But they never had the internet, so what that unleashed, the internet unleashed with regard, they always knew, whoever's controlling this, whatever faction is controlling this, they always knew as soon as we got the internet, things were going to change big time.
Exactly.
And that's why you see these numbers again, the stuff you've been talking about regarding numbers has been so much a part of my life recently. It's been amazing. And once you start seeing it, it just comes at you, doesn't it, from everywhere? And that's where I realised my station, and I didn't even know when I did it. Cry Freedom Radio, CFR, is 36 and 18, which is 369. I was like, wow, I never got that at the start, but I think it's divinely sent in some way.
Oh, it is. 100%.
And you've definitely had some major experiences, haven't you?
Well, yeah, they've grounded me. I mean, there's been a lot of bullshit.
Who's grounded you?
Well, the spaceships have grounded me.
Oh, yeah.
And the spiritual experiences that I've had.
I've still not seen one of them. That thing you did in Ireland was amazing, by the way, with those people over with all the lights in the sky. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I see them every night.
Do you? Wow, I've never seen one.
Well, you got to look up.
Yeah, stop looking down at your bloody phone and look up.
Yeah, exactly. Way too much time on that. I mean, I got kicked off Facebook 6 months ago. Oh, God, it's brilliant. Well, thank you, God. Thanks for that.
Well, I'm still on it, because I think that, you see, I've been attacked for this as well. My view is that if you put good energy into something that's bred from bad energy, then you're doing good. And so I carry on, although I'm shadow banned everywhere. So that's why no one listens to me. I don't care. Carry on.
People find you if they're meant to.
Exactly.
Hello, everybody.
people kept saying to me, because my show's quite small, again, I've been doing this for 10 years. I started off in 2010, so just after my dad died, and I started to get things more. There was a guy in Manchester called Paul who was starting off a station called Critical Mass Radio back in 2010, and it was okay. We had a few hundred people listening. We had 2 shows on per night. I had one, and it lasted for 2 years, and then these people I thought were going to be my friends for life, suddenly everything went pear-shaped because people are people. This woman came in from America, a so-called psychic, who started talking all this crap, and they went along with it, and eventually they got rid of me because, well, you know, it's all history. But do you know what Jordan Peterson says? If you don't understand malevolence, you're never going to exist in this world, and you have to go through these things. And when you've got a pure heart, you've got to just get ready to get hurt a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I was having that conversation half an hour ago with a friend.
Wow.
She's been through hell in the last 6 weeks with Mercury retrograde and the Aries in Jupiter thing, and everything's about, from a spiritual perspective, everything's about it's just peeling. It's like Shrek's onion. It just keeps, the layers keep peeling off, and it's how many more fucking layers are there?
Well, that's what I was going to say to you before. What I loved, I think it was on a show that you did. I think it was Charlie Freak and Siobhan. Siobhan's been on the show. I love Siobhan. She's lovely. You read a poem out and you cried, and it so touched me. Being real, like, in that way, that if you're prepared to be real in that way and just be that person, I think it's so amazing.
Well, I am a very emotional person.
I know. So am I.
You know, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I can't, if I can't be authentic, what's the fucking point of any of it?
Exactly. And so here's this point.
Hang on, you can't say exactly in a Scouse accent, because when you do it, it reminds me of that advert from the 90s. Exactly, who are they?
I'm actually a plastic Scouser. I live in Wirral.
Oh, the posh part, right?
And I don't think I've got a Scouse accent, but I keep getting told that.
Well, you know, to anybody not living around there, it's Scouse.
Yeah, but when you listen to a real authentic Scouser, you realise that I'm quite posh.
Yeah, I know. I remember I used to do gigs with a guy called David, and he was fucking brilliant. I hope he's still doing gigs.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought up Liverpool, because I think Liverpool is very significant, because it keeps coming up in the news all the time. And when we believe in, right, so you're talking about onions. The news, the so-called, inverted commas, news, is such an onion, because you're told a basic thing, and most people stop at that basic layer of what the so-called news is. There's so much more behind that, what the real news is, and all these codes that have been used by these people with regards to putting their things out via the news. And Liverpool's been key. And I don't know if you remember, right, back in 2018, just after my mum died, I had a big choice to make, because we had a family home of 50 years that was rented, and because it was rented, they wanted it back when my mum died. And we've been looking after my mum. That's after I'd left the house and all that. So we had to leave, basically. I had 2 choices. I could either go back into 9 to 5 crap, and I wasn't going to do that, or try and find another way to exist with no money. So I went into the WWOOFing thing, which is Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, which is where you go and work on a farm and they give you board and keep. And I ended up in Wales, Wrexham, on a farm run by a guy that seemed great at first. He was a Scouser, and he seemed fantastic at first. But turned out he had connections with a North Wales pedo ring and all sorts of nefarious stuff going on. And I had basically
everywhere. I
had 10 months of a microcosm of the evil and the good in the world, because the place was like heaven. It was like Eden, Mark. It was gorgeous. Had a river running through it, 35 acres, absolutely gorgeous, in the middle of suburbia. But it was like an oasis in the middle of suburbia. And I spent 10 months on that farm, and they had stags there, they had deer there. I had a white stag, right? Now, what happened in Liverpool, don't know if you remember, a few months back last year, there was an incident, apparently, where there was a white stag, and it's all symbolism, it's all messages. There was a white stag shot in Liverpool, right? That white stag just looked like the one on the farm where I was with this guy who was connected to the pedo ring in Wales.
Yeah.
I kid you not, I think it was the same one.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I felt very sad, because he was lovely.
Well, there were two guys beheaded in their apartments near me a couple of months ago. And the town on near, you know. But the thing is, it's everywhere, and this is what people don't realise. It's been hidden in plain sight all this time. And when I first learned about the symbolism, it was 1999, and I was sat in Manchester in a cafe, And I suddenly looked around at the buildings, like, you know, the town hall in Manchester, and I saw them in a completely different light.
Yeah.
And I started crapping my pants because I was like, fucking hell, this is everywhere.
I know.
And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you have to start digging and going, what does this mean? What does this all mean? Because it means everything to them.
Yeah.
And then you realise you're on a farm and you're the farm animal.
Yep. Yeah.
And they literally don't they want you dead.
That's it. Well, they want you dead after they've made enough money out of you. Yes.
No. They don't give a fuck about money. Get rid of that idea.
All right.
They own all the money. They create all the money.
True. Yeah. True. They can print it anyway, so who cares? Yeah.
They create as much money as they like. It's nothing to do with money, and this is one of the problems people have. They can't see past. They're like thinking, oh, big pharma are in it for the money. No, they're not. They don't give a shit about the money. The money is just there to control you, to give the illusion that you're free.
So it's purely about being evil then?
Purely about being evil?
Yeah.
Well,
from their point of view, not ours, obviously.
Well, my understanding is that this is a war against an ancient AI which infects many universes. And this planet is extremely important, this plane of existence. And us, the human race, are extremely important. And what goes on in here affects everything in the universe, which is why we've got so much help right now.
Wow.
And you know, we're talking about going up against something that is incredibly malevolent.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been hidden in all the literature. It's been hidden in plain sight in all the movies, TV shows. I mean, think Borg. You know, that's what they want.
I know.
They want to assimilate everything into some cyborg race. Transhumanist agenda. I mean, on the Georgia Guidestones, it was written there very clearly. You know, we will keep humanity under 500 million in perpetuity with nature. That means that 6 billion people have to die, and that's what that was the plan. So that's what the last 2 years has been, then. Well, no, I think this last 2 years was hijacked by the White Hats, and the White Hats are a combination of off-worlders, benevolent ETs, interdimensional beings, whatever you want to call them. And I know that sounds nuts. Some people might be listening to this thinking this guy's off his fucking tits, but
the people are used to me being weird, so don't worry.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I've been seeing spaceships for all my life.
Wow.
And I was a pilot, so I know what's a plane and what's not. And it's just been, over the last 2 years, it's just got louder and louder and louder. And I now speak to the stars, they speak to me, and then they show me ships. I know, I loved that when you said that basically you were told to go out and actually speak to them, and then you saw the show. Well, not just the show. I mean, I see shows every night, white lights dancing about and flashing and powering up and doing all that stuff. I've seen that for years, but I actually saw a proper ship last year. And it was huge, triangular, with rounded edges, covered in hieroglyphics, and it was kind of a rusty orange colour. And then it did a Star Trek. It just went. I was like, okay, this is real, right? Okay, and it just it grounded me, and just gave me the strength to carry on. Because so many times I wanted to stop doing what I was doing. I mean, when I first went online, well, I've been talking about all this stuff on Facebook for years, but the YouTube thing, I was like, fuck. Oh no! Have I really got to do? I was like being told to go on YouTube. I was like, what do I know? What have I got to say? Why haven't you been banned, Mark? I have been. Don't you watch my fucking show? Only the last sort of few months I've been watching, but yeah. Well, my first channel got to 30,000 subscribers in a couple of months, and then it just got taken down when I did a live with Garly Lucy. Actually, was it? Wow. And I was like, okay. And, then I got hacked. Well, Mark, I've got to admit, and I didn't ask your permission, I just did this, and I hope you don't mind. I only have about 20 people listening anyway, but I did actually play that interview you did with Garly Lucy, the first one, because it so enthralled me. And I played it on my show, and I hope you don't mind. I'm asking you now in backwards terms. Is it okay that I did that? Yeah. Everything I do online is open source. Yeah, I get that feeling, but I still feel I should have asked you. But anyway, I played it, and yeah, wow, and lots of people were listening to it then, and she's got something definitely. And do you know what I love as well? Because I look at her Telegram channel. She bloody loves animals so much as well. Yeah, I mean, she does a lot of fear porn for my liking, but she's a good person, and I think, she says a lot of things that are true. You cannot die is the first thing everybody needs to realise, because once you realise that, you get over the fear. Yeah, true. Once you realise you're an eternal soul, you get over the fear. And the biggest issue we have is fear, because fear is a construct. It's created. It's the other big weapon that they have against us. That's why money is so important to them as a tool of enslavement, because of the fear of not having money and the fear of not paying your bills, the fear of losing your pension especially if you work in the public sector.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing's pinned together by the police and the NHS and all these people that have committed heinous crimes against the human race. And when it comes out what they've done, a lot of them are going to kill themselves.
It's very true, I'm afraid. Yeah, and that's been, I think for a lot of us, that's been the hardest thing over the last 2 years, is seeing how much people around us, and mainly, my friends are mainly online, that the people out there in the real world, physical world, that get me where I live is zero, quite frankly. So without the internet...
Well, you might be surprised. I thought when I started that people would be spitting at me in the streets, and that, and there are people that I know that look at me out the corner of their eye like, what's that fucking crazy conspiracy theorist doing? But they think you're a crazy conspiracy theorist, so actually you're not that dangerous to them. But in recent times, loads of people have come out of the closet, and people have come up to me in the cafe and just gone, keep doing what you're doing, Mark, and then walking off.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's a huge amount of people that are kind of on the fence, because they don't, especially the Irish, right? Because I'm in the west of Ireland. You're near Liverpool, which is an outpost of Ireland. Yeah. And and I was like really gutted when I started thinking, where's the fighting Irish gone? And in Liverpool as well, the one town which should know better than anybody else that the media is full of shit and hates them. Where are the riots? Why aren't we taking down the government? And it's because we just can't compute, because the crimes against humanity are so vast that they can't. Nobody can compute it, because most people are good. Yeah. Right? Yeah. We're not racist. We're not sexist. We're not homophobic. They use all those. They try to use those things against us to try and divide us. Most people are not like that at all.
Yeah, you're right. Most people are good. Most people have a heart. And I tell you what, Mark, what I have noticed, because I speak to a lady on my show called Ali who lives in Ireland. She's not Irish, but she lived out there just below the border, I think, in Southern Ireland. So she's still under European law. She tells me about what goes on in her village, and sadly, the majority of the people there are not going along with the truth. They're not getting it. They're still fearful. They're still wearing masks. They're still going for their fourth booster. And it's like, I would have thought people in these areas would get it more. But I know Ireland's been mainly massively attacked because it is a heart of something really emerald and green.
Well, Ireland is, I think, one of the most important parts of the world. And the true history of Ireland is something I'm learning about. And it's, anybody watching this who wants to know about the true history, go and look at Michael Tsarion, Tsarion, I think his name is. This place is linked to Atlantis, the Garden of Eden, giants. It's just linked to so many. In fact, the Tour de Danann. It's a really powerful place, which is why Ireland for the wettest country in the world, it has the worst drinking water in the world, because it's got more fluoride in it than any other country on earth.
Yeah, and why is that? Yeah, exactly. Because
fluoride calcifies the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is your telephone line to God. So a lot of people, they don't even know, they have no spiritual connection at all. Plus, that's why the country's been battered. And people say it's by the British. It was never the British. The British were just the face of it. It was these guys. It was these fucking demonic reptilian entities that are controlled by the Archons, which are controlled by the AI.
Yeah. I think it's kind of, especially in Ireland, it tends to be extremes, I think, with regards to people's attitudes, in that you either totally don't get it, or I've been watching that one you did with that lady again, with the UFOs and the lights in the sky, and the way she was talking. You get these amazing women, especially it tends to be women, that just so get it, and they're so powerful.
Women have been the key to the revolution, because this is the rise of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
And the strongest people throughout the last 2 years, in my view, have mainly been women, and that's amazing. And where have the men been? Where are they? Where's the fucking backbone gone out of men?
Well, indeed, I know.
It's they've been, this war is is all-encompassing, and people don't realise how all-encompassing that is. And it's even down to the till receipt in the shop. It's got female hormones embedded in it. So they've been trying to weaken the human race, and I don't mean that against women. I mean this as they're trying to demasculate men, because there's nothing worse for them than strong, because men are physically stronger, and they don't want that. And you can see, just go around any city and you still look at the guys with man bags on going around on electric scooters. So 40 years ago, they'd have been there with beards, fags, and fucking Harley Davidsons. It's the man has changed.
So it all ties into this transgender thing, doesn't it, with regards to what they're trying to inflict on us now with regards to all of that. All these men want to be women.
Well, the transgender thing is to do with the Baphomet, right? So the Baphomet, if you look at the Baphomet, it's like this creature with a goat's head, women's boobs, and men's genitalia, and it's like, they invert everything. Most Hollywood stars are the opposite sex to what you think they were.
I know, and how hard is that to believe for some people? Because you see these, what we're deemed to believe are these gorgeous-looking women. They're actually men. It's like, what the fuck?
True. I know, it's true. It's true.
I know. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, you only have to look at the square shoulders, because I always used to envy them with square. I like square shoulders, and I'm thinking, but hang on, that's because they're men.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. When people find out the truth, they're going to go. I mean, everybody listening go and read David Icke's books. That's what everybody should do.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying he's right about everything, but
takes a few hours, doesn't it? But yeah.
Well, it took me a week to read one of them, and I didn't put it down for 8 hours a day because they're so thick. But the thing is, this is such a complicated thing, and Ike was the first one to sort of connect the dots. For example, I knew Ted Heath was a paedophile 30 years ago. But
how did you know?
Because he ate at my friend's restaurant.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and I got the stories secondhand from his security team about his boat being, I think it was called Morning Glory.
God.
And Jimmy Savile used to collect the kids for him from all the various kids' homes and schools and hospitals and whatever, prisons around the country.
So Mark, that episode of Sherlock, when they had that guy, the so-called entrepreneur in it, that was talking about all of this, how epic was that show with the truth? Yeah,
but you got to remember, they have to hide things in plain sight. So they have to tell us by the laws of the universe and the laws of karma. They have to tell us everything that they're doing, and then if we don't do anything about it, then it's our fault, not theirs.
Exactly. Yeah. Pass the blame. Yeah.
And that means you trust zero on the BBC.
Yep.
Because the BBC has a paedophile statue outside its headquarters.
Yep. And that guy that was chipping away at it the other month.
Yeah, that was great. But the BBC, stop paying your fucking license.
I haven't paid it for a long time.
Stop paying your energy bills. Stop paying your taxes. Stop everything, because we're just encouraging the twats.
So that's what I did, Mark. So essentially, when I left my home back in 2017, I left it all behind, all the debts. I had debts. I had used a credit card because I've been struggling to live, and so I did use credit. I left it all, and it's never ever come back to me.
No, it won't.
Because I had the balls to say fuck off. Excuse my French.
I mean, this world is all run on consent.
Yeah.
And
that guy's great, by the way. Talking all about all of that. What's his name? Sovereign Peace, is it?
Yeah, he's great, and so is Stacey. Stacey's World Rocks. I met her in Newquay by accident.
As you do.
Well, it was weird. I went down to Newquay to see a friend, and then I was walking up this hill, and I saw this woman walk towards me with "cunt" on a t-shirt, and I went up, and I said, "That's a fantastic t-shirt," and then she said, "Yeah, nice one, cheers." And I went, "I've written a poem with that word in," and she went, "Have you?" So I played in my poem, which uses that word a lot. And she heard the word "plandemic" at the beginning. She went, "Hang on, plandemic? Are you?" And I went, "Yeah, you were." And we went, "Yeah, we're both on the same team." And
conspiracy theorists unite.
Yeah, and she woke up only 2 years ago and then went, "This is all bollocks," and got rid of a flat, got rid of a job, and got a mobile home, and then just was going around the UK teaching people not to pay their bills. And I think through the direct debit guarantee scheme, which everybody can reclaim everything you've ever paid on direct debit, the people that have followed her and done what she said have already claimed back well over £1 million.
Oh wow!
So this is all about we the people power. We're the ones with all the power, but we got born into a prison and it's been battered into us by the indoctrination camps known as school, by the indoctrination, brainwashing, mind control device known as the television, by radio, by the newspapers, and what that does is keeps us in this sort of fenced, we've got these invisible fences around us, which is held together by people's belief that we need to give a shit what our neighbours think about us.
Yeah, absolutely. God, you're spot on there, Mark. Honestly, as soon as you stop caring what the fuck other people think about you, you are so free.
Well, this is why one of the things that I found really interesting is that most of the people that realise this is a spiritual war and then have had the bollocks to stand up and say something and do something about it, most of the ones that I've met that are genuine have been through hell. Yeah,
you have to go through hell because you don't get it otherwise.
No, because you have to get to the point where you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's true. It's very true. It's a hard thing to face that you think you have to go through that on what should be the most beautiful planet going. I mean, this planet, in the right places, if you get away from the concrete crap, it's total Eden. It's so gorgeous. I love nature so much. And I just want to be there, and I'm stuck in a concrete crap place at the minute, but,
I was just, I don't know if you've seen any of the interviews with Ismail Perez recently. He's popped up all over the internet.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He talks about the fact that there's 5 different versions of Earth, and we're on the bottom rung. But we were, there's Earth in the first 3 dimensions, and then 4 to 6, it's called Terra, which is the 4th, 5th, 6th dimensions, and then 7, 8, 9, I think it's called Gaia. And I think there's another one I can't remember. And then above that, in the 16th dimension, it's called Sophia. And we used to reside in the 4th, 5th, 6th dimension. And at those levels, these demonic entities, these 1, 2-dimensional beings that attach to us and feed off our loosh and all of that, they can't exist, and they can't ascend, right? So they're desperate at the moment because we are ascending.
Yeah.
The planet itself is ascending, and we're ascending with it. And I think this whole process that we're going through is necessary for us to get to the point where we vibrate at the right frequencies so that we can cope with the new information that's going to come from the light codes that are coming from the CMEs from the sun. And I do think there is going to be a solar flare of big magnitude. I think there's going to be a big event. But don't worry about it. Just look after yourself, do the right thing, and start detaching from the system. That's what I think this is all about.
So people say that we go through these different times in life, in that there has to be yin and yang, there has to be black and white, and we've been through so many years of evil now that we're coming to the light part of it, and then we're going to get 1,000 years of whatever, and then it's going to have to go back because that's the way this place works. Do you believe in that?
Well, I do. I try not to say that I believe in anything 100%. I'm not married to any particular idea.
Yeah.
What I do know is that everything's a lie, and once you understand that, then you really have to, like veganism, for example. I mean, that's really tough. I've been through it. You're saying it's difficult. Of course it is. It's really fucking difficult to let go.
I'll tell you why it's difficult, Mark, because there's a woman that lives near me, 20 minutes away from where I am. She runs an animal sanctuary. She's been rescuing cows and pigs from all over the place, and we're watching these animals turn into, they're like dogs. The cows are like big dogs when you see that they're what they're really like when they're allowed to be real. And it's amazing to watch. And that's why it's hard for me to get on this meat thing.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not asking you to. I'm just
I know.
All I'm doing is reporting back on my experience.
And you feel good. It's really helped you, yeah.
Oh,
massively.
Unbelievable. I mean, the whole saturated fat thing, for example. I mean, even the course that we put together is you don't have to eat meat to do it, but it's just that Jeremy, who's put the protocols together over 30 years, he's only reporting back from the front line. He had to go through the same thing himself. And what he's seen is that people with terminal illness diagnoses heal incredibly quickly when they eat fatty meat and nothing else.
Wow.
And
the hard thing is to believe that there's toxins in these vegetables. As I know we're saying, it's been programmed into us to eat your 5 a day and all this stuff. It's very hard to believe it's toxic.
Well, you just got to look up the word oxalate.
Yeah, well, tell us about oxalate then. Go on.
Well, actually, I just said you look it up, but if you go to Google, you'll see a load of disinformation. But
exactly, yeah.
Oxalates, they're like, it's the vegetable's natural defense mechanism, because vegetables don't want to get eaten, but they can't run away. Because everything on this planet is sentient. Everything has a soul.
True. From
the plants to the rocks to the sea to us to everything, right? So, and there's something being eaten or eating at every minute of every day. So I think when we go to the higher dimensions, we won't need food.
Yeah, exactly. Breatharians.
But while we're here, we have to eat something, and therefore you have to eat the thing that's the least damaging to you. And then if you look into the toxins contained in vegetables and really look into it and find good information on it, which people can get on the Maximise the Light course, the penny drops. And once the penny drops, you go, right, well, this is what I did. I just went, well, I've got to give it a go. And the reason I gave it a go is because I had carpal tunnel syndrome. I had adrenal fatigue, and I was overweight. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go because I've met people. I've actually met them physically, people that had terminal cancer diagnosis 12 years ago who are currently thriving. And because they did this, and I was like, my mum had a vegan cafe in Tenerife for 10 years.
Wow.
And she got really ill. Her partner got really ill and died. And I look at all and I've, this is going to upset some people, but the vegans that I've met over the years, the really staunch ones, are the most aggressive people I've ever met. And once you understand why that is because they're full of these oxalates, which are basically scratching the inside of the walls of their arteries and making them very agitated people, and it's a slow death. And that's what they've done. They've built in so many things from your carpets to the SLS in your shampoo, to the fluoride in the water, to the chemtrails, to the paint in your house. It's all poison.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to do. I think what everybody has to do is really keep an open mind and just try to reduce poison on every aspect. Just look at even the shoes that we wear, right?
I know, I agree totally. Yeah.
Even the shoes that we wear disconnect us from the earth.
I try not to wear shoes when I can.
Well, that's right, and everybody should just stand on the grass for 10 minutes at least every day, because then you get the benefits from that, and that's free, are just enormous. And the other thing is, since I've been eating the meat, the waste that I put out there is massively reduced. It's more eco-friendly. Plus,
and you fart less.
Oh, you fart enormously less. You shit less.
All right, Mark. Let me just tell you something then. All right, so because I've been trying to do the fruit thing, because I was trying to follow what Charlie Freak was talking about in Colleen, and I find that. Now, this is a topic that most people find hard to digest, but I'm going to go for it anyway because I never hold back. Urine therapy, right? I've tried urine therapy. I've cured my toothaches with urine therapy, okay? Now, what I found is when I eat fruit, when I do fruit smoothies, within a matter of hours, my pee becomes totally clear, almost like coconut water, as they say. Now, I don't know what it's like when you're eating meat, I can imagine, but to me, there has to be something in that when you eat fruit, your pee goes like this purest water.
Well, it's the same when you eat meat, but
is it the same when you eat meat? Yeah. So your pee's quite pure then.
Well, unless I'm drinking booze, then it goes a bit yellow.
I know, I do that too, but yeah.
No, fruit's not out of this diet because this is all about eating your species-specific diet, which includes seasonal fruit that you've picked fresh off the fruit bush,
And that's what Charlie Freak says, isn't it? He says that you're taking that life force, not that any of us get life force fruit because it's all been through GMO and all that crap. Unless you live in the country like he does, you can't do that. So you have to just buy it from a supermarket. And that's what was my biggest frustration in the Charlie Freak saying, you have to go and get this pure fruit. Well, I can't get it. I live in bloody Wallasey. I can't get it.
I know.
What am I supposed to do?
Well, nothing's perfect. The big problem with supermarket fruit is those apples have been frozen for 2 years and they've travelled 2,000 miles to get there.
I know. But what do you do, Mark? What do you do?
Well, you go foraging.
Yeah. Well, if you live near a wood, yeah.
Well, yeah, everybody lives near a wood somewhere.
I know. I've been looking into that too, but do you think, do you actually, Lucy, getting back to her, do you think things are going to collapse in a way that we're going to have to just so work together in the future?
I'm an apocalyptimist, right? So I don't buy into, I do think there's going to be a big scare event. Right, and I did get a vision about 18 months ago that it might be nuclear related. Oh God, but Lucy says that they can't do that anymore. That's not possible. No. I didn't say that they're going to blow the planet up. I said that it might be a nuclear scare event.
A so-called nuclear scare event, yeah. Okay.
Well, that everybody would believe it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I can't think of anything else that might do the trick.
I know.
I do take all the Q posts seriously. Not everybody does, but I do. One of those posts said "scare event necessary," and I think that's what it is necessary.
I agree, sadly.
Because Because, I mean, as if COVID wasn't a big enough scare event. Even the ones that got it were terrified. That's why they wore the masks.
I know. Do you know what, Mark? Back in 2020, I was in a shop here, a local supermarket shop, right? There was a woman behind me. She was practically fainting at my feet. She was wearing a mask, obviously, probably 70-odd. And I tried to tell her about the fact that she's restricting her oxygen, etc., etc. She held her hand up at me and said, "You are the problem." And then I said to her, "You need to stop listening to the BBC." And she said back to me, "Oh, it's okay. I read the Liverpool Echo."
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I know.
How do you fight that? Where do you go? What do you do?
Well, I don't think you can fight it.
You've got to let it go, haven't you?
And look, when I started my YouTube channel, at the beginning, I saw these people like, there are people within this, I don't know, I don't like calling it a movement, but
bowel movement.
There are people that started making a lot of money out of it and realizing that they started talking about Intel. They get all the big views because everybody was terrified and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not here to do that. So I started trying to focus on the esoteric side of it and the spiritual side of it and the solutions side of it. And I do believe that I've got no problem with people making money because you need money to run these things.
Yeah,
right?
You have to exist within this world, so you need money. I know.
But you have to do it in a way that is like, you don't scare people into buying stuff. You just sort of say, it's like when I launched my course, I got Spirit told me to make this course because I'm a 20-year internet marketing veteran. And I was like, really? You want me to make a course? And when I launched it, I was like, well, this has a value. So I'm going to charge a price for it. But if you can't afford it, it's free. And
I love that you did that, by the way, Mark, because not many people do that. So hats off to you for that.
Well, I think this is the way forward.
That's all I want. If I ever make it big, if my husband ever makes it big with regards to what he wants to do, we will give so much back. That's all I want to do.
Well, this is it. We're going to pay it forward. We've got to realise we're one consciousness, right? But we're not in a perfect situation. We're in a situation where money is required to buy shit.
Yeah.
To live, right? So you can't deny that money is important because it is right now. But we're in this kind of like in between time, and we have to let go of, a lot of people have issues with money. And what I mean by that is like they think it's evil. Well, money isn't evil.
No, it's always people. It comes down to people. It's nothing to do with the material, the actual physical things. It's what the energy you put on it.
That's right. And in the next dimension, we probably won't need money. Or if we do, I don't know. I think we've got a transition period to come.
It's going to take a while, Mark. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's what we've got to do.
Maybe that's why we're here, to just kind of try and bring this in. I'm not egotistical. I don't think I'm better than anyone else, but I know what's right, and that's all that counts for me.
I'm not. I think I've got a bit of ego, but most of my ego died a few years ago. And thank God for that, because I was a bit cocky. But, because I've basically everything I've ever put my hand to, I've done well at. But
do you think adversity brought you to the place you are now? I feel it has. I think.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I was really self-destructive for about 30 years because my dad died when I was 17.
I know, that sounds so tragic. Ugh.
Yeah, but I'm not a bleeding heart. I mean, I know everybody's got their own tragic stories about their own life because we all do. But I just didn't give a shit if I lived or died. Therefore, I was a little bit of a loose cannon. Mm. Because I was a loose cannon, that's why I've done so many things, because I didn't attach myself to anything. I didn't. I had a career in the RAF and I left that. I had a comedy career and I left that. I had a journalism career and I left that. And I just, and then I look back at it and I'm like, that all makes sense now. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I've got all this experience that kind of makes sense. But that also includes divorce and suicide, and multiple deaths of people that I love. And all these experiences, they either make, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And
yeah.
And I just thought, a couple of years ago, well, I've got something to say. And I was surprised, actually. I was really, really surprised how many people I've helped. And that's the reason why I'm still doing it, because I get letters every day, emails every day saying you saved my life. Even the poems, people say the poems have saved their life. And I'm like, well, that's fucking amazing.
See, Mark, that's what I've tried to do. I haven't managed to reach many people, but I've tried to do this over the last 10 years. Now, I did a lot of poems at one point. I am going to do a book soon. It's based around black sheep. But anyway, yeah. And so I feel that what you're doing now is it's obviously a life thing that you're doing. You've been decreed to do this for some reason, but you have to go through shit before you can do it, because if you don't go through that crap, how can you advise anybody about anything? You have to suffer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm here to advise, apart from the business course or my experiences. I don't want to preach to anybody, but what I've found is...
But you don't, Mark, you just tell the truth. Well,
I try to. I mean, you know, so as long as the YouTube will let me, otherwise I'm on BitChute. And that's why I kept the YouTube channel, because that was a pragmatic decision, you know, because that's where everybody is.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm on BitChute, I'm on Rumble, and I can say what I want there, and I can say what I want on Telegram, which is pretty good. But what I mean is, I don't want to, you know, I'm not about preaching. I'm about being somebody that's there for people that are going through the transition, to make them realize they're not alone, and that, you know, there are people around who've known about this stuff for a long time, who are still managing to laugh and smile through it, because that's one of the keys to this is keeping your sense of humor.
Absolutely.
And keeping an open mind, and
keeping your humanity, Mark, I think.
Yeah, and I think all of this is about going inside and realizing who you really are.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something, right, okay, so Charlie Ward. I know you've had a lot of stick because of Charlie Ward and the connection there. In 2020, I used to watch Charlie Ward all the time, and I have to give him the hats off in that he helped a lot of us get through this shit, because it's been hard watching people, you know, lambs to the slaughter, all that. It's been hard, and Charlie kept us going in many ways. And I spoke to him back in 2020 in September, and I put it off a few times because I didn't really want to do it, but I thought, no, I've got to do this. I've got to bring this up. And you know what I'm going to say now. When he said he was a huge fan of the Queen, he was on John Mappin's show. We'd had the whole Greg Hallett thing that he'd gone through with us on, you know, live stream. And suddenly he was saying to John Mappin, and they were both basically fornicating over the Queen and how wonderful she was. And so it confused a lot of us, because we don't know what's true. We don't know what to believe. We're told all these things about the Queen. We don't know if it's true or not. Who knows? But the fact that he said that put a massive spanner in the works, and I had to call that out, and I didn't really answer me, to be honest. So I know he's your friend, and I'm not against him. I still listen to him. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, the Charlie thing's been really interesting, because on the one hand, he's woken up tons of people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really good. On the other hand, I only met him for the first time about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, at the conference, yeah.
So I didn't, and I've seen all the attacks on him, and the majority of those I've seen are not true. The thing you just brought up about the Queen, I didn't see that, but I do remember the Greg Hallett thing, and I think we have to cut people a little bit of slack, because it's an evolving story. So he might not have known about the Queen at that point.
No, the thing is, I'm sorry, but the thing is, Mark, is that he was in a position where so many people, thousands of people, were listening to him. He's 1 minute he's going on about how bad the Queen is, the next minute he's saying he's a huge fan. That is a huge, maybe it's about discernment, maybe we're being taught discernment, and that's what it's for, but that was a huge moment in my view.
Yeah. But you know, Charlie's just an ordinary bloke, right? So he
might be an ordinary bloke, but he's speaking to thousands of people. So there has to be some kind of, you know.
Yeah, but that's your viewpoint, right? So what I'm saying, you asked me my viewpoint. So what I'm telling you is that I watched all this happening, right? I didn't see that Queen thing, but I watched all this happening, and I watched Charlie. Charlie, you know, shoots from the hip and says some shit sometimes, and I'm like, why did you say that, you plonker? You know, and I've been in touch with him and said, Charlie, please stop doing that, because, and I've said the same thing to him. You know, so you've got this massive audience that's hanging on your every word. But from a spiritual perspective, what you just said, I agree with. I think that this whole thing has been about teaching people discernment. And all I can tell you about my personal relationship with him is that he's always been very nice to me. The majority of the things that I've seen said about him, I know that aren't true. So because of that, I'm also pragmatic as well. Charlie's got a massive audience, and I got a very strong message that my poetry needs to be heard by as many people as possible. So, you know, there's lots and lots of reasons for not, you know, when I did the live thing in Birmingham, I got quite a few attacks for that, and I put them on the channel. I don't think nothing's black and white.
You got attacks for the Birmingham thing? What do you mean, because of Charlie Ward?
Yeah, they were like, what are you doing? What are you doing there? And my viewpoint was very simple. Well, whatever. If anybody there is a bad person, I'm doing inverted commas when I say that. I don't care because I'm not. And
you're coming from authenticity, and that's all that counts.
Well, I was there like a ray of light.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I knew that would be the case, and I met all these people for the first time. I mean, the only person I'd met out of all of them that were on stage was Al Pisoni before, and Alpa's a beautiful soul. And me and her were of the same opinion that, there's a big audience there that need to hear what we've got to say. And
you did a video with her when she was in her car and she was in Hollywood. So basically that, because so many people see Hollywood as being evil, do you think she was there to actually make it different? Is that what that was about? Because that was a bit confusing.
Well, Hollywood's just a place. The same.
I know it's just a place, but we know we've been taught that recently that it's a heart of evil.
Well, you live near adrenochrome factories.
You're right. You're so right. I know, Liverpool, bloody hell.
I live near Satanists around the corner. Does that mean,
True.
I mean, this is No, she was in Hollywood. Because
so is it about putting your light into these places? Your light, you actually change it because you're there.
Well, let me just answer the question first.
Yeah.
She was in Hollywood because she was in love with a guy who was in Hollywood.
Oh, right.
That's why she was there. So whether that on a spiritual level, maybe she's there for a different reason, but the 3D version of it is that her boyfriend lives in LA.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so there's always different. See, this is it, isn't it? With this whole movement, there's so many ways you can go down, so many paths you can take in this. It depends on what your brain is, and if you're going from hate and worry and fear, then you're going to go down a certain path. But if you go from love, you have to. What I'm saying is what I just said was wrong in a way that you can't judge. We can't judge.
Well, I did ayahuasca about 7 years ago, and I had an amazing experience where I was just the spirit put me in front of this painting, and the painting became alive and became 5D.
Wow.
and it was just going, forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. And I must have been stood there dancing for about 2 hours.
What was the painting? What was it of?
It was a painting that said forgiveness on it.
Right.
There's you call it ayahuasca art. A lot of people that do ayahuasca then get called to paint, and they paint these amazing paintings. And the reason for it is and then they pop them around the room when you're doing the ceremony, and they come to life, and you get taken. The spirit takes you to where you need. Basically, you learn whatever it is you need to learn at that point. And I just got forgiveness for hours, and until my spirit understood it. And then I got moved on to something else, and then something else. But the forgiveness side of it is the hardest one for everybody. I think it's the hardest one for everybody to learn, because it's not just about forgiving other people. It's about forgiving yourself. And we have been trapped. One of the other tools that they've used to trap us is shame and guilt. And the demonic entities, because everybody on this planet has been demonically possessed at some point in their life, if not all their life.
Yeah.
And those archonic energies whisper things in your ear and steer you to do and say things that you may regret later, or your soul regrets. And that shame and guilt kind of locks you in and keeps you quiet. Which is why when you see some people see injustices, they might know it's unjust, but they're just trying to protect themselves because they don't want to be seen for the things that they may have done in their life. Which is why I think another part of this has been, me personally, I've had a life review, the same as the Egyptians had in the upper chambers. You get a life review and everything's kind of balanced out before you move on to the next step. And I've had a real life review to the point where I remember driving along in the car about 2 years ago, and then this memory came back to me, and it made me, I had to pull over because it was like, whoa, fuck, I'm so fucking, oh my God, I can't believe it, like suppressed memories,
Yeah.
But we've all been MK Ultra'd as well. So, that's coming out of the programming is it's like coming off heroin. I mean, it's fucking hard.
Do you know what, Mark? The fact that so many of us have actually seen things in a different way, and we come from heart, it's quite amazing, actually, given what's borne down upon us, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, we've all got to just forgive each other, everything, and forgive ourselves, because where we're going, it's all going to be forgiven. This is the toughest training school in the universe.
That's what Dolores Cannon used to say. Earth is the hardest place to come down to.
Yeah, and the other thing you got to remember is that you chose to come here.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Makes it even crazier.
I'll tell you something, Mark. I had a weird experience a few weeks ago. I'd been out doing a recording for my show with two friends in a pub. We'd had a few drinks, whatever. Came back that night. I know I wasn't asleep. I know I was awake. I saw this weird thing, and it was like in my bedroom. This yellow light appeared, and I looked at it, and it was a Buddha. It was like, the only way I can describe it is, it was like a Buddha pointing at me. You know, like Trump does that left to right point at people. It was like that, and I knew I was awake. I knew I wasn't asleep, and I knew that meant something, and I've been trying to equate that ever since, but I think it means carry on doing what you're doing and just be true and be real and be you.
Well, good. I mean, that's great. That's a great sign.
I've never seen a UFO, though.
Well, that's okay.
I keep looking.
My view is that you get shown what you need to see when you're ready for it.
Yeah.
The teacher arrives when the student is ready.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, I've seen UFOs, but I know loads of other people that have seen them far more, and they've gone and meditated more, and they get far more messages. That's why I still do interviews on the channel, because I want to learn from these people, and because we're all at different stages.
I think what we love about you is that you're raw and real, Mark.
Well, look, I'm a council house kid from Northampton. And what the fuck does anybody want me to be? I'm just like, I'm sick of bullshit. I'm sick of injustice. I'm sick of division. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to spend another day in the world that they want us to live in. And I don't, for my kids.
Right, so let me tell you something. When my husband cried because you allowed him to go on your course, I kind of cried too, because I saw what you were doing, and I think it was so amazing in that it's people that get it with intelligence, with thinking, with knowing, that are prepared to actually bypass the so-called greed thing and do something amazing. And once we all get on board with that, and the fact that you have so many people getting on board with you, wow. All I can say, Mark, seriously, from the heart, is wow. You're doing a fantastic thing.
Well, it's very nice of you to say that. But one of the things that I've really had to do throughout all of this is kind of ignore everybody that says that sort of thing.
Just ignore me, Mark. I don't care.
No, I really appreciate it, but it's a really important thing, because it's like if you listen to the critics, you go down, and if you listen to the praise, you go up. And
yeah, I know.
And I'm really trying hard to just be like
neutral.
Well, just centered and trying. It's a real exercise in something. I mean,
self-control.
Well, look, because everything's changing. All those.
It is.
I mean, my ego was huge when I was younger. I was a pilot in the RAF. I had my own TV show. I made hundreds.
Were you a big head, Mark? Were you a big head?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was a dick. And I say this. I've said this before. It was like God. I was an atheist for 20 odd years as well. I believed Richard Dawkins. I believed all that crap. Right? I believed all that vegan shit. I believed all of it. I believe the government, voting made a difference. I believed that tax was a good idea. I mean, I've had to undo everything.
Do you know what I've noticed recently, Mark? In this, right where I live, we've had this, because I'm living in concrete shite at the minute. But anyway, smart parking has been a big thing where I live. And the place where I live has my name within it, by the way. I've had all these signs lately. A place I used to work at, which is around the corner where I'm living from now, is number 222 in a road with my name in it. It's just amazing.
We're in the Matrix.
But anyway, this so-called stuff that's going on at the minute with regards to smart parking, do you want to give your registration number so they know every single thing about you, but then you get fined? We're fighting smart parking big time here, and I'm trying to encourage people to do this and stop just saying, let's just let it happen. Let's just pay our fines or not pay our fines and not fight the greater issue.
Well, anything with the word smart in should be avoided like the fucking plague.
Exactly. Smart inversion, not smart.
Well, stupid fucking parking. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. I mean, I think everybody should go around with a black marker and just be, graffitiing all the COVID signs and just, defacing the Queen's head on the notes and just fucking, it's...
Right, this is something that's going to be close to your heart. I have a friend called Nathan Saraya who is involved with a thing called Men's Shed in Wales. And
Men's Shed does really good stuff.
Men's Shed is amazing. They closed them down recently. They've just started growing their veg. They started actually saying that online. They were promoting themselves. Then they shut them down for some reason. It was something to do with, apparently, it was to do with health and safety. We have to shut this place down. Now, this guy fought back. He thought, sod this. We put all this effort into this. We are trying to fight the male depression thing.
Yeah,
and he fought back with the Welsh government, and he bloody won.
Yeah, we can beat them every time.
Amazing.
Everybody's got a... if go and watch this. Anybody listening to this, go and look at the Sovereign Pete or the Sovereignty Project .live. I can't remember, but anyway, look at the Sovereignty Project. Yeah. We all have to understand, or understand, as Charlie Feet would say, which is, I kind of get that.
I do too.
I just feel like a twat saying it. Do you know what I mean?
Don't feel like a twat saying it. Feel like a powerful person. No, seriously. Understand. It makes sense. Understand. Stand under the whole police crap thing.
No, I know, but we need to understand their language, right? And the language is none of us can read. That's Pete's point, is that we don't know how to read.
True.
Because we're dumbed down.
Yeah.
I mean, even the language in and of itself is a trap. Our own language, because it's spelling, it's casting spells. We are
exactly spelling. Yeah,
we are the creators of this universe, and these archons have no creative talent or abilities whatsoever, which is why they need to entrap us and then use their symbols to beam information into our heads, so that we then create this matrix for them.
So we create our own prison, essentially.
Yes, yeah. They use us to create this prison to keep us in place, so that they can keep feeding off us, and they feed off our loosh, which is fear energy, and they feed off the blood of our children, billions of children, and that is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
So this again comes down to, right, I tell you what, Mark, I've noticed recently, I look at this on my computer. I have this thing that comes up with all the so-called headlines, and it links to all the mainstream crap.
Delete that immediately if I were you.
Well, no, but it's interesting because I look upon it, the layers of the onion. I look at it in a different way. Recently, there's been loads of stuff about blocking of roads. This road's blocked. This road's blocked. The M6 is blocked. This is blocked. Something's going on. Something is definitely going on, and I'm hoping it's good.
No, it is good. This whole thing's a cover for good things going on.
I think so. I feel so.
10,000 deep underground bases around the world. 10,000.
I know.
Right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
As Silla would say, that's a Laura bases. Right? Isn't it? And this shit's been going on for billions of years. So
it's all been based on this evil taking of our so-called adrenochrome, regards to we've been led to believe has been going on.
Yeah, adrenochrome is real. There are adrenochrome factories near you.
I know. Are you right? I know. They're all in Liverpool, aren't they? What the fuck?
The hidden in plain sight. They put everything in the least place you'd expect it.
I know.
And then they make everything. It's like Jimmy Savile being on TV for 40 years, right? Sick fuckers.
Jim will fix it, guys.
How fucking sick is that?
Who's he fixing it for?
No, but listen. Well, it was called Jim will fix it because he fixed it for the royal family, because that was his job.
Yeah.
His job was to get children for the royal family and for the elites. That was his job. That's why he was so protected.
And so this is why we are led to believe that the royalty is not good. And this is why the whole Charlie Ward thing with regards to him saying he's a huge fan of the Queen was very confusing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, have you considered the possibility that he didn't know that at the time?
How could he not know it when I knew it? Fucking hell, he's doing much more than me.
Because he's not the Oracle. He's not God. I don't think he'd never read a David Icke book. He just came at it from the financial point of view when he started, and the reason he interviewed so many people is because he wanted to find out what was going on, and he'd shoot his fucking lips off sometimes. And
don't get me wrong, Mark. I do like him. I'm not. Again, we've had all this truth seeker thing against Charlie Ward with his son speaking out against him and all this stuff. It's been very hard, but
shocking. But if it's sorry, there's a phone call.
All right.
Look, if this is, I don't know. right? I'm not sitting here saying Charlie's good or bad. All I'm telling you is my experience of him, right?
Exactly. That's all you can go off. Yeah.
Which is good. He's always been very. I've always seen him be very generous and very nice to everybody that I've known, and he literally doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks about him, which is pretty amazing, really.
Well, we had a nice chat, and I don't know if you've listened to that one I did with him, but we had a nice chat, and in the end he said, "Oh, I'm surprised you didn't attack me more."
Well, you know, he literally, but you know, on one hand, why would he do all of this that he's done if any of that stuff about him was true? And
because some people do it for money, Mark. Unfortunately, I'm not saying Charlie is, but you know,
when he started, he didn't have a fucking clue what he was doing, right? And he wasn't doing it for money at all, right? He just happened to get some help from some people and he got a lot of help from a lot of people who were just helping him because they wanted to help him, and they worked for free for at least 6 months. Yeah. And they were all working 18 hours a day to help him at the beginning. And that's what helped him grow so quickly. Plus, the other thing was he was the only person talk in the middle of it all, in the middle of the fear that was actually being positive about it. And that cannot be underestimated. So I'm very grateful that he did that, because I've met people in the local market who said, thank God Charlie Ward made me look into everything. And he always said, look, I'm not the Messiah, and go and do your own research.
I totally agree with you.
If he's got things wrong along the way, then I kind of like go, fair enough. I mean, he's just an ordinary bloke trying to find out what's going on, the same as the rest of us. But, so that's my view on it. And, you know,
he helped me through it. I can't lie. He helped me because of his positivity. Helped me so much because it was such a dark time, wasn't it? 2020, what we were having to go through, watching people flipping kill themselves, essentially.
Well, remember that, and forgive him for the Queen thing. I mean,
yeah, I know.
No, I mean, look, you know,
I just want to understand it. That's all. Understand it, Mark. That's all.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. My view is that he probably didn't know. You know, because most people. I mean, over the years, I've been calling the Queen a reptile for 10 plus years online. And I met Prince Philip, and I've seen the fucker close up, and but if you'd asked me,
how did you meet him, Mark? How did that happen?
I got an award at St James's Palace when I was 19.
Oh, wow.
And I was in my Air Force uniform, and he shook my hand, and he didn't recognise the uniform. Bear in mind, he was the Commander-in-Chief, right? He'd probably just come up from the dungeons after killing a kid or something, and was high on adrenochrome. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but as he held my hand, which I can still feel now, horrible.
Wow.
He looked at my uniform and he said, "I see you've joined the and then somebody had to whisper in his ear, and I was like, how the fuck do you not know what this uniform is? Yeah, exactly. and that was kind of the beginning of me. But, if you'd asked me then, I used to salute the TV when I heard the fucking national anthem come on.
So this is the thing, Mark. When I was a kid, my mum and dad used to take me to the Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra, and we used to listen to classical music. And my mum and dad refused to get up when they played the national anthem at these times. And it was a bit embarrassing when I was a kid because I didn't get it, really. But now I would so not get up.
But I didn't back then. I didn't know. I thought they were amazing. Queen's Jubilee, I was out there waving the flags, and fucking my whole family are royalists, and used to go to the proms and all that shit.
Why do we need this? Why do we need to think these people are superior to us?
Because we've been fucking brainwashed. How many times have I got to tell you?
Keep on telling me, Mark. Carry on.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, I know.
It's MK Ultra, and then they get you they get you trapped. They trap. I mean, we're trapped. We're all trapped into.
I was never trapped. I always thought they were shite.
No, but we're all trapped into ideologies of some kind, right? And it's all divide and conquer all the time. And once you get that, then you should never be married to any ideology apart from the truth inside your heart.
Indeed.
And your connection to source, which we've all got. I mean, some of us have to work harder on it than others, but we've all got this potential. And what I'm really excited about is that the best is yet to come. And what that involves, as far as I'm concerned, is the reactivation from the 2 to the 12 strands of DNA, because that junk DNA that they tell us about is not junk. It's just deactivated. And once it gets activated, we are superhuman. And And that's going to be just fucking amazing.
Absolutely. And then we get to the whole Tartaria thing, which is bloody amazing. When you look at the buildings now and you think, wow, I know what this building used to be.
I was in Liverpool not long ago on the ferry. And
Liver building, I know.
I used to work in the Liver building 22 years ago. And I was looking at it from the boat going, fuck me, that is Tartaria.
Wow,
right,
really?
Right in your face. But I think the Tartarian stuff was to do with the last reset, and I think those buildings are remnants from Terra, from the previous dimension.
Mark, some people say even electricity, what we know as so-called electricity in these times, is free energy. Don't think about that, but...
Totally. They've been lying to us about that. I think... Do you know what I think? And this is just my theory. Don't shoot me down.
I won't shoot you down.
There's squirrely things that are on all the electric pylons.
Yeah.
You see them and you've got these little squirrely things holding on the pylons between the wires. I think they're the things that are pulling electricity out of the ether, and the wires are just there to look as if it's being transmitted, and they've been charging us for something that's cost them nothing for 100 years.
Exactly. And so the whole pylon thing, really, when you think about it as well, when you look at it, is a pyramid, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's also part of the mind control. It's the same as the... I was telling my kids the other day that we were driving past some of these big wind things, these, what do you call them? Turbines, wind turbines. Mm. And I said, that's just part of the mind control. Because if you drive around and you see those, subconsciously you're thinking, oh, climate change. Oh, thank God we're doing something about climate change. They're a bag of shite. They don't do anything apart from spoil the countryside.
I tell you what, Mark, you've done your best towards against repopulating the world. 5 children? Wow.
Well, I realised early on that there needed to be more of me because there's so many morons here. I'm going to have to go. It was lovely.
Thank you very much for giving me this time, and I do appreciate it. We'll talk again, I hope, sometime.
Yeah, anytime. You take care of yourself, and good luck with everything.
You too, hon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.